Welcome to the Shift & Co podcast, your beacon of empowerment and transformation. Here, wisdom converges with actionable steps, where universal principles of abundance, wellness, and happiness come alive. Introducing Laura Brennan-Bellet, the dynamo behind the science of empowerment, here to supercharge your journey with her expertise in neuroenergy. And alongside her is Stefan Hoffman, melding corporate acumen with deep esoteric wisdom. He's poised to amplify your inner voice, transforming whispers into declarations. Together, they promise to captivate, elevate, and fundamentally shift your perspective. Now, here are your hosts, Laura and Stefan.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where everybody is in the world today. And welcome to another episode of The Shift & Co. with myself and my always incredible co-host, Laura Brennan-Bellet. Laura, how are you today?
Fabulous. How are you?
I am just absolutely incredible. We obviously do connect before our episode starts recording, but we don't really have time to talk about the more personal stuff that's been going on. And I've been traveling for the past 3 weeks, as people will know from our episodes, different locations and all the rest of it. And all the ups and downs that goes with that, right? Because you don't have your normal stuff around you, your normal environment. So unexpected issues do arise. But isn't it just wonderful how we simply manage to flow through that, take the challenges as they arise, turn them into stepping stones, and just keep moving forward? It's just incredible.
Right. This is the beauty of living an empowered life. When the gray area presents itself, right? It's not the beautiful flowing high. It's not the deep low. It's all in that middle gap system, and how we choose to respond to those challenges really can create a correct timing in the lessons
Absolutely.
learned, or in the way that we think about that challenge.
Now, I really want to ask our audience to take a second to really listen to what Laura just said there. And you'll notice in everything we say, we're very careful about the type of verbiage that we use when we're speaking about manifestation, about life, about how we approach it, perspectives, etc. And Laura used a beautiful word there, choose, how we choose to respond. And it's so interesting because we obviously picked this topic about 5 or 6 days ago already. This is what we're going to talk about because of various things that are happening in our own life. But over the course of this week, this has sort of been the theme in all my conversations with my friends, to the point where this morning, as I was doing the last leg of my journey home, sat in the back of the car, back of the shuttle, and just responding on messages and emails and whatnot. And one of my friends says, that was it. He messages me about something that a colleague at work had done for him out of the blue, just as a thank you for what he'd done, had purchased him a gift. And I immediately said to him, now, do you see how balanced the universe always is? Because he tends to notice when his family is maybe not as appreciative as he would like about what he does for them. And immediately he could see how, oh gosh, that's actually completely balanced. I might not be getting that appreciation at home, but here's a random person at the office who I barely spend any time with on a personal level, and yet they're appreciative of what I'm doing. And I then immediately said, do you see, it's all about our perception, what we choose to take note of. You can choose to focus on the negative, or you can choose to focus on the positive. And that then lends itself so beautifully to start talking about his goals and what he's wanting to achieve in his life, and how even though right now he may not feel like he's making that progress, to trust in the timing, trust that the challenges he's seeing are there because there are lessons he needs to learn in order to grow into the person who can attract in the blessings and what he is trying to manifest. So it's just interesting how all of those things interplay when we choose our angle of perception.
Yeah, so powerfully stated. And this is how our synergy always is aligned, because we talk about so many things and then all of a sudden a topic just presents itself, that timing of that topic and how it fits so
Mm,
beautifully. And then I went through a week where really I applied the trust in the timing of certain things that are unfolding. Almost too, if there's resistance, which that space of resistance is just as empowering and just as important to the flow of when the timing is really unfolding beautifully. Almost more so, right? In the space of looking at an empowered life, when we choose, right? That's that power seat of choice that we talk about in the
mm,
science of empowerment all the time. When you position yourself in that power seat to look at timing as this almost, and I'm going to use this word, so hang in here with me, this divine knowledge
absolutely.
from a realm that maybe we aren't all connected to just as natural as we are. But if we were to, again, so let's use that story very quickly. Your friend, if he knew, oh, I'm feeling a certain way, let me recalibrate to the power seat of choice. Let me look at how I'm observing and reacting to this situation. Okay, there's the old story. Now let me move over to that power seat of choice from an empowered perspective. Now I understand that that appreciation does not need to come from that particular point that I thought it did. It's the universe showing appreciation in an environment that matters. I want to be appreciated. Why am I stuck on needing it from that person when here it is over here? The energy exchange of appreciation is beautiful, however it comes to me. Now we start to open up the possibilities of seeing what we need differently than where we thought we needed it originally.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you should talk about it from that perspective because as you were saying all of that, Laura, I was casting my mind back actually to last night. One of my really good friends who joined me on the last leg of my trip was talking about what she's wanting to achieve in her life. And she said, I'm really thinking that the position, the job I'm in right now, is not what I want to be doing for the rest of my life. And I'm ready to look for something else. And she goes, what do you think? Should I start looking for something else? And I said, well, first of all, it's not my life, so I'm not going to tell you what to do, right? This is very much your choice that you need to make. You're the one who has to live with the consequences. But certainly, let's look at whether the timing on this would be correct. There's that theme again, right? And we sat and we meditated on it for a bit, and we asked the deeper questions. What would she do with a new position? What is the lifestyle she wants to have? And so we started at the end with that exercise that our audience will know. I've used this exercise so many times. Describe your perfect day from the moment you wake up. What does your bedding feel like? Right through to when you're in the kitchen making your coffee and checking your emails or your work day or your work schedule. What does that look and feel like? And instantly, when she stopped that exercise, she recognized that where she's wanting to be and what she's wanting to do is achievable, but not with the skill set that she has right here, right now.
Mm.
So she goes, well, what do I do about that? Because I'm not happy here and I want to be there. How do I bridge the two? And unfortunately, I think I use the old adage, which can be a little bit trite if you don't really go in depth into what you're trying to say, which is if the why is big enough, the how takes care of itself. Now, for you and I, live this every day, that becomes manifested truth. We know that, we live it, it happens automatically for us. But for a lot of people, that how really becomes a source of consternation for them, frustration, where they're like, but I want to know what the steps are. So I said, well, The first thing is to live as though that has already happened. That end goal is already there. I said, because it's if you become that person, and again, our audience will know this, and for those who are new, there is a principle of vibration, which like attracts like. So if you start to embody what that person would be like, you automatically start to attract in the situations, the lessons that you need to support that path and that journey. And we identified immediately that leaving her current company would probably not be the best idea, but that she needs to work on approaching her bosses with new ideas from an entrepreneurial mindset and not from an employee mindset. And she could see that clear as day, that this is what she needed to do. And I could see instantly the frustration at how long it would take to get to that end goal. It didn't evaporate completely, but it definitely lessened, because suddenly she's in a position of choice. I can
And
choose to take action. Yeah.
a position of empowerment.
Oh.
That conversation empowered her, right? And what I was picking up on this is have fun, right? While we're in this trusting environment and nature, right? Waiting for the timing to align correctly. That's a resistance energy that we're putting out, a resistant, kind of constructive energy. So again, here we go into this beautiful art form of recalibration. Let's discuss what your future self would look like, would feel like. What is the story that we can begin to create so we begin to see ourselves in that power seat of choice, and moving from the mindset of an employee to the presentation of an entrepreneurial designer? Hi, Mr. Smith, may I have a moment with you? I did some soul searching over the weekend. I thought about something. I want to live a life that is fun and exciting. I want to trust in the process. And I'd like to present something to you. Are you willing to hear me out? Are you open to co-create with me and support me in my journey within your company? Productivity will go up. Innovation will go up. Oh God, just the joy of creating this idea starts to raise the frequency, right? The opportunities start to come in. So I think what you and I really talk about when we first came together and our friendship was really sparked, we wanted to create an environment of fun, right? The human
Yes.
condition is riddled with opposition of fun. And it's not that we want to, as we always say, bury our head in the sand and ignore realities. But while we're moving through this human condition that can certainly be very trying, we want to create a life that is full of joy and full of opportunity. And rather than disempower our thought process, rather than not trust in the timing, find ways to recalibrate it. So the timing may not be aligned to leave a relationship or go into debt or quit a job. But what the timing shows us is it's always in correct alignment to begin a thought process, to lead us out of what doesn't feel aligned and move us in the position where the timing will just unfold so beautifully and so naturally.
Oh, absolutely. And that's exactly it. It really does unfold naturally. We always talk about manifestation and the miracle of manifestation. And I think along the way, we tend to start to think of it as almost supernatural, when in fact it is the most natural thing in the world. So manifestation has to follow natural laws in order to come to pass, in order to come to be. So it's not going to sort of, appear in a puff of smoke outside your apartment or your house. Okay, your new promotion is not going to magically appear out of
Right.
nowhere. You have to put the effort in. You have to expand your consciousness in order to attract those things in. But when you do, you start to see how the universe quite literally conspires in your favor to make beautiful things happen for you. It's I always imagine the divine being kind of like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, Not curious. There's another word I'm looking for. In Afrikaans, we have a word gruwelijk, which
Like
kind of means
inquisitive.
inquisitive, kind of like a kid who's naughty, but not in a mean way or mean spirited way. They're the kind of kid who would be like, oh, I'm not going to tell you what surprise I have for you, and then they've done something incredibly over the top. That kind of energy, and I can just imagine the divine, seeing someone putting in this effort and going, oh, wait till you see what I've got in store for you. And here comes this
Okay.
amazing blessing out of the blue. And you're just like, what? That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh God. And I'm jumping out of my seat. This is why I'm talking about, I'm saying the word fun. Everyone has their own lexicon, their own way of taking in information and then expressing it out. Look at how joyful the conversation can be at the thought of creation, at the thought of manifestation. And when we talk about the law of attraction, and so many people are used to write these phrases that come out, but they're very separate from it. So even if we say manifestation, law of attraction, trust in the process, trust in the timing, correct alignment, universal energies, divine intervention. Just take it in as gems of knowledge, new insight, new perspective, new ways of looking at your present condition so that you can begin to recalibrate into a thought process that will empower you. And when you were just talking about that, it made me think about the great teachings of Abraham Hicks and how she says this so beautifully. When we have doubt or resistance, and okay, so I'm saying it in my words because I'm paraphrasing, but we'll get the gist. When we have doubt or we're up against the energetic structure of resistance, remind yourself of what is truly manifested on this planet. You can look at the raw nature of what was created. However you believe it was created, that's a beautiful thing. It was created somehow, whether we think of divine intervention, whether we think of off-planetary gods, whether we think of pure science, it all was created. Now, if we look at what she says is we are not flying in or trucking in anything off planet. We're not going anywhere to create what we have created. It is created through thought, through innovation, through opportunity, through belief, through the trust and the timing of its unfolding. So when we look at and fill in that blank, a beautiful walk on the beach, a crystal in a shop, a friendship, a smile, when we look at how world tragedy can be turned into peace, all of it, where is it coming from? It's coming from the human condition, the thought process, the belief in it that we can see a thought through to fruition. And that is such an important observation ledge to look at and look from. And again, this is how we empower ourselves and one another, that we are positioned to take thought and bring it out into manifestation. And the same way, we can align ourselves with the openness and the acceptance of that manifested thought coming into our life.
So interesting that you brought that up about thought becoming manifested into reality. Because last night, after everyone had gone to bed, and I'd promised myself that I would too, hopped in the shower, and as I'm getting out of the shower, I was still early, it was about 9:45 at night, but I knew I had to be up fairly early just to check emails around 4 a.m. So I was like, I don't want to go to bed too late. And I get out the shower and I have this, it's not really an epiphany because it's stuff I know, I guess, a reminder, but it really crystallized beautifully for me. And it was something actually that Jesus is reported to have said in the Bible. And that was, a lot of people will know the scripture, whether you are Christian or not. If you have faith the size of a mustard grain, is how it starts, right? And then various translations end that off in various ways. And it's always kind of explained as, that's how tiny your faith needs to be in order for you to be able to manifest stuff. And that is certainly true. But I also then thought about the fact that faith is very much an intangible thing. So why, if it's an intangible thing, did this ascended master, this divine being, claim that it could have physical properties? And then I started to think about that a little bit more, and I realized that if you have that kind of faith that is able to manifest as a small, tiny physical object the size of a mustard grain, what you could achieve with that. Now, of course, you can't make faith manifest as a physical object, but you can make that faith so real that instead of acting as if a situation has occurred, you simply accept that you are that lightning rod that will bring in that manifestation, bring in that blessing, act as though it is, not act, be as it is, and just see how everything starts to fall into place very, very, very quickly. And then this morning, as I was now taking my journey home, I was thinking about that even further, because I was journaling on that last night, thinking about it on the journey home, and I realized if you achieve that, if you start to really look at life from the perspective of what it is you're wanting to achieve, but in line and in accordance with divine flow and divine timing, it becomes a lot easier for you to make the right choices and take the right actionable steps. So I was actually, then when I was chatting to my friend who was talking about the fact that, here's a stranger from work giving him a gift just to say thank you, and this is his life and blah, blah, blah. And I said, what you have to recognize is that society at large has trained 99.99% of people to think that a choice is merely an illusion, that they have no choice, that life simply happens to them. Right. That is a victim mentality that is disempowering. When you realize that you do have choice, that you can choose to flow with divine timing, divine requirements, everything starts to become so much simpler. You can see immediately what the right decision for any given moment would be, even if it causes you a certain level of discomfort. Notice that I said discomfort, not pain, because as yogis will teach you, they're like, so you're sitting in a cross-legged position for 12 hours, and often students will go, this is torture, this is agony, this is it, and they'll go, hang on, are you actually in pain? Because pain signifies something is wrong. Or are you just uncomfortable and the mind is working at it, right? So oftentimes when we're wanting to reach these greater heights, when we're wanting these manifestations to come in, the reason it is taking longer to come in is because we're choosing to not take an actionable step that is highly beneficial for us, but maybe just might be a little bit uncomfortable. And sorry, if I may just really quickly, I want to just leave one last example of myself in this. I don't think I brought this up recently, but Laura, you know that I decided one morning, just woke up and I decided to stop drinking. Nothing against it for anybody else. Absolutely zero judgment on that. I happen to have incredibly big goals for myself, for the Shift & Co., for the various companies I'm blessed to be involved in. And it suddenly hit me that something very uncomfortable for me to do would be to stop drinking, because that also does mean that I'm not involved in certain social circles where that is the core of it. But that's not painful. Right. It's merely discomfort. Right. And suddenly that discomfort, as you start to recognize and see the blessings that come with that action step, you're just in such a stronger, more empowered position that you just enjoy the journey, enjoy the process so much more.
When you were sharing this story, and I love when we reference Jesus, because people automatically start, their mindset just goes kind of squirrely on this. And I often tell people, just, I could say I have a friend George, and still tell you the same story, and you will be open to it and be like, oh my God, this George, like, what a cool guy. Can I meet him? Does he have a book? And I've done this, and we should do a podcast on like kind of the funny stories around Jesus, because I always say, what would Jesus do? And my family laughs, but I'm like, okay, let me do an experiment. And I'm like, oh, I talked to a friend, Sarah, the other day, and this is what she did. And I'll bring in a story to represent. And it makes me kind of smile inside, because the story is there to help support your elevation within the human condition. So whatever story it may be, if you gravitate towards, and we talk about this, Anunnaki and Sumerian and the Mayans and the Egyptian mystery schools, if you read a certain scripture, if you ever were to put your eyes on the Dead Sea Scrolls, if you read the Bible, if you read the science of empowerment, it doesn't matter. It is knowledge, it is information, it is an expression of opportunity, and how you choose to position yourself and take in the information, and how you apply it to your own experience with thought, with manifestation, with the law of attraction. That is what you will create. Now, I love this too, when we talk about faith and we really don't believe in faith, what do we have? We continue that same discomfort or sorrow or pain. When we begin to, and here we go, put ourselves in the power seat of choice, to even step in the doorway of divinity, of faith, of trusting in the timing, of taking in new principles, new power pillars of empowerment. I had someone who read the book that read it from the angle of, I'm going to find something wrong. I'm going to find something that doesn't make sense, right? This was a kind of like an experiment we did, but it didn't start that way. And what happened to, and it was a doctor, and what happened to her through the process of trying to resist the information and resist that empowered message that comes through something like that material offers. Probably less than a quarter of the way into the book, she understood that in order for a formula, a law, a principle, faith, divinity, trust in the timing, in order for that to show itself, you need to move into the power seat of choice. And that choice is, I am open to that story. I am listening to this podcast. I am willing to exercise my personal journey with what an empowered life would look like. And now all of a sudden, things just start to shift so swiftly, in a way that if you maintained that mindset that you had a moment ago, no, it wouldn't have happened. So having faith doesn't cut it. Believing that you have the ability to have faith, now that changes the energetic construct, and everything starts to just change. And if I may add, we know that we are energetic beings, and energy is everything. So if we're coming from the mindset of nothing ever works out for me, where I need something to come doesn't, I'm not open, because someone could have gotten that gift like your friend and just been like, whatever. But now looking at it, that, well, maybe I needed that level of appreciation from my partner, but we actually are going through something and I'm not getting it. But I'm aligning with, I know I deserve to be appreciated. And here it comes through a path that we weren't planning on traveling. Now, when we exchange that observance, that appreciation is showing itself to me. Now, this allows us to be more expansive. And where else can it now come from?
Mm.
Maybe in my partner, but maybe not at this moment because the timing isn't aligned for them. Maybe they need to allow an opening, an expression to come through them. Now we've got two people moving in gratitude, not expecting it from someone, being open to the divinity of it's expressed all around us. It's just where are we open to it? So those are two really distinct points of choice. I need to get it from here, closes, right? Disempowers the power seat of choice. I am open to receiving it, however it may decide to show itself. And now this really allows us to move into that power seat of just being open to it everywhere, because people such as you and I who really work at the mastery of this in our daily life, not without challenge and heartache, not without journeys, but we are always open to where is it? Where is it? And where can I see it? And how can I align? And that is why a sunrise or a sunset and all that happens in between that day, we always are looking for how can this empower us? Because we're open to it and we know it will show itself in many different ways.
And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful that you brought that up around us being open to it from wherever it might come, because that also then opens you up to new experiences and opens you up to enjoying the journey between where you are and where you're wanting to end up, and whichever part that is. Because actually, as part of an exercise that I used to do with some of my clients who were looking for, specifically for love, actually, is we would go through the list as to what they're looking for. And I'd say, this is just a list for you, so you can be as pernickety as you want to be as to what your perfect partner needs to look like, act like, smell like, taste like, or everything, top to bottom, right? What job they have, it's your list, you do what you want. And then we would cross off the things that are, they're nice to have, but it's not a deal breaker. And then we'd be left with a list of maybe, let's say, 8 to 10 things as to what this person needs to look like and feel like and all the rest of it. And the question I would then ask is, right, so now looking at this person, and let's name them. And they would name them, and I go, right, so if so-and-so, and we'll call them John. John had to walk into the room right now. Would John want to date you as you are right now? Yeah. And they're like, oh, no, John would not look at me twice. Oh, well, why is that? Well, because John does this for a living, and I have no idea about that, but it's something I'm interested in. I'd like to support that, but I have no idea how to do that. Okay. John also likes to hang out at these places. I don't really feel comfortable at those places yet. And they'd start to recognize how where they are right in that specific moment in time is not conducive to that energy coming in. And then we'd say, right, so now let's put that aside. Now let's focus on what action steps you can take to change your vibration to attract that in. Suddenly it becomes a fun exercise. John likes to exercise. He probably likes to jog on a Saturday. What running clubs do you have around you? Is there a park run you could do? A trail running club? Maybe you like to cycle? Let's do that. Okay. Where does John hang out? John likes to hang out at art galleries. Have you ever been to an art gallery? No. Why don't you make a nice like a group of girlfriends and go through to an art gallery and look at some art? Can be a fun excursion. You never know, you might like it. And suddenly it becomes this fun exercise that actually has nothing to do with John and everything to do with becoming and being and embodying the kind of person that they want to actually be. And when they do, John pitches up in all his glory, looks nothing like what they had on the sheet of paper, but he pitches up, sweeps them off their feet, and they're going, I would never have looked at this man twice 6 months ago.
And this is all about, again, everything that we desire to reflect is what is already within. It is the process and the unfolding and the expectations and what again has been seeded into the human condition that almost distorts that beautiful knowing. It is already within. When we look outside and try to tune into something outside of ourselves that we have yet to align with, this is why we have so much heartache and disruption in our life, because there's already a built-in resistance to it. And that was so beautiful, because so many of us can really understand, if I desire, and fill in that blank, a stronger body, a more empowered mindset, certainly more wealth, different friendships, a better job, whatever the scenario may be, we all know that in order to have, we must take action. Universe can hear, I just heard, universe can hear the melodies of our thinking. But in order to play the song, we are the instrument of that. And until we really understand that we are empowered beings with all the knowledge coded within our DNA, take the time to tune in to your own frequency. Trust that you have everything needed in order to live a life that you desire. I am saying this with gentle compassion that all of us are not in an environment that feels conducive to what we're expressing, but the power of the mind is the gateway to the expression and that journey. Start to think as you are desiring, and you will find small movements. So even if you live in a body right now that maybe isn't healthy, we talk about this, proper nutrition, start with a walk, get a partner that can help you. There's so many ways to change the physicality, the emotionality, the spirituality, and the mindset around truly trusting in the timing through the power seed of choice.
So beautifully said, Laura. Thank you so much. That does bring us to one of the final segments of our show that we always have, which is the tarot reading that we do, just to have an inkling as to the energy of the discussion that we've just had. And today's one, all around manifestation and trusting in the timing, etc., is interesting. I mean, they're usually quite mixed bags anyway, because we have a lot of stuff that we have to clear out, right? But this one, I would definitely say, whilst it has a lot of hope and joy attached to it, there's a definite tinge of sadness, a tinge of mourning attached to this as well. And initially, as I was looking at the cards and listening to the words that you were speaking, Laura, I was kind of taken aback, and I was like, well, why that? And then I realized that it's because as you start to trust more in the timing, as you start to trust that what your will is will become manifested truth, you are changing yourself at a molecular or at an atomic level. So quite literally, who you are as a person dies and you become a new person. And there is a certain level of mourning that goes alongside that, because I often speak about the fear of success. And the reason why the fear of success holds so many people back is because when you change who you are at such a fundamental level, your old circle will no longer suit you. The social structures that you've had in place will no longer be conducive to your growth. And those people will feel as though you have abandoned them, as though you have betrayed them. But the advice here is to really focus on the artistry. And it's interesting that that's the word that came through. The artistry that goes along with designing the life that you deserve to live, right? Trusting in that, taking on board a youthfulness as you engage with this manifestation in your own life, trusting that everything will be okay. And it is, because it's all right here. It's showing that the level of support that you're looking for is not waiting to come in. It's already there. It's already there. You just have to notice it and go, yes, I choose to accept that in, and I choose to release that which no longer serves me. So the key here is to recognize and remember that the space we have been in, mentally, emotionally, socially, is not bad. It is not evil. It is not even challenging. It has served a purpose. It has given us lessons, and we should honor that and then release it because the lessons have been learned and we are ready for new lessons to come in. We're ready to start learning through joy, through peace, through love. And that's an incredibly empowering place to be.
I love all of that. When you first said the word sorrow, but that's why I tended to have a very slight smile, because I didn't take it that way as you explained. It is the releasing of the patterns and the behaviors and the habits that no longer serve our future self and the process of our own evolution. And it's a really beautiful journey to take. And it's, I feel it is the reason why we're here. So of course, we pull a power quote before we even venture into this journey of our podcast. And I ask the universe, what would be a message that really would support what we've talked about? And what came out today is we must program into the thought process positive intention. Think about everything we've talked about. New information. Remember, I said new data, new information, new knowledge, new insight, excitement, fun, trust. Bring in, right? Program into the thought process positive intentionality. This is where we begin to move into the power seat of choice, because everything we do now has a positive vibration, has an uplifting, encouraging, energetic, kind of gentle. I almost see that the hand on the small of the back. There's this support. When you intend to experience positive outcome, timing will unfold perfectly.
What a perfect place for us to end off this wonderful episode. I know we always say that our episodes are powerful and uplifting, but this has just been, it's gone to places I never realized it would when we first picked this topic on Monday. But this is just absolutely incredible. So I'd like to say a huge thank you to my co-host Laura, and to our audience who are listening to this today, and just for all the people who are around us who inspire these episodes each and every single week, which we recognize as we are as well, tools of the divine to help uplift the consciousness of humanity. It's just great. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, the link to purchase Laura's book is in the bio below, in the description below. Please do like, share, and subscribe, right? So share this with your friends, get them to subscribe. We want to be sharing this with as many people as we possibly can on a weekly basis. And as always, we will see you next week, same place, same time.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Another enlightening journey concludes here at the Shift & Co. podcast. If this episode resonated, share the wisdom, subscribe for more transformative tales, and continue this voyage of growth with us. Until our paths cross again, keep shifting, stay curious, and embrace the continual evolution of self.